Live from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and no, we're not in Renaissance Bank. We're still virtual. We're so virtual, I don't even know where I am, but we'll get there soon, one of these days, back to our home inside Renaissance Bank on Windward Parkway in Alpharetta. But in the meantime, wherever we are, we're always looking for personal service in banking. And if you're looking for that, go check out the folks at Renaissance. And I am encouraging you to do that because I know personally the job they do. I've got clients that are with that bank, and they don't have to worry about when they call getting some 800 number or some mechanical voice. They talk to real people, and I talk to real people when I call up. So if that's what you're looking for, and you're looking for more personal experience, go to renaissancebank.com to find the nearest office. They've got 200 or more across the South ready to serve you. Make an appointment, because that's how you get in the door, is make an appointment, and they'll be glad to see you and check and see how they can help you with your business. renaissancebank.com is the website. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Duffie Dixon. Duffie is with Duffie Dixon Media. And Duffie, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much, John. I feel honored because we often call you the guy in North Fulton who knows everyone. We could play 6 Degrees of Separation, not from Kevin Bacon. That's the old game.
Right.
It won't be 6 Degrees of Separation from John Ray.
Oh, you're something else. Flattery will get you everywhere, Duffie. But for those that don't know you, and there are not many people that don't know you, but for those very few that don't know you, tell them a little bit about you and what you're up to. How do you help folks out there?
Yes. So I am a lifelong TV journalist. I was a TV reporter for 27 plus years. Most recently, I was in Atlanta at 11 Alive. I was the reporter they sent out to hurricanes, court cases, babies born on New Year's Day. So I had a wonderful run at 11 Alive, and I sort of reached all my goals. It's a weird thing in life when you get your dreams. I wanted to be in a top 10 market as a television reporter. I left with another Emmy. I received a number of Emmys during my time as a reporter, especially at 11 Alive. And I decided I want to do something new. So I'm taking what I know and my experience in television news and writing and producing and video, and I'm using it to help others. I'm using it to help them create their best selves, for them to create their message and put it out there, and for them to get their business ready to succeed. So everyone thinks TV news is oh, you just talk in front of the TV. There's a little more to it. I do love talking, and yes, I've been on TV, but there's a lot of writing and producing and messaging, and I've always enjoyed what I do, and it's a whole new fun thing to do it for people on the other side of the camera.
Sure. Well, let's get into that for a second, because I'm glad you brought that up, because you, I guess every morning, maybe, you're in an editorial meeting, you get an assignment on a story, you've got to go out, find the story, come back and tell that story so that the rest of us out in TV land can understand that story, right? I mean, and that's, so you were really in the storytelling business throughout all that time, not just standing in front of a camera. Right?
Absolutely. And storytelling has now become a buzzword for all businesses.
Sure.
Because the reality is people like stories. We grew up hearing stories. We tell stories. People connect with people. So the minute you take people out of the equation, you're really missing out on a huge opportunity. And I love storytelling, and doing it with video and sound is it's a dream come true. There's so many things you can show. I help a lot of clients tell their story, and then they can talk about why they're in business for themselves or why they start a company. Some businesses are fascinating how they do things, take people behind the scenes, show them how the sausage is made, so to speak. Although the big joke is nobody wants to see how sausage is made.
Right.
But it's storytelling is, yes, at the heart of what I do.
Mm. And you help folks with their video content. So talk a little bit about the importance of video content, why that's a preferred media these days, and then how you help folks amplify their brand through video.
So video, John, is the new buzzword, storytelling and video. So there are stats now that show people are, and I want to see the most recent one. I'm pulling it out of my head, so I apologize if I'm off on the exact number, but something like 86, 87, 88% of people will click when they see video. So that's on Facebook, that's on LinkedIn, that's even on your website page. So video is really where it's at, and that really triggers people connecting with you on social media platforms. And it does wherever you use this content. When I create content, I go in and we have to be really strategic about what we're doing. What you don't want is a 3-minute video of anything, because unless it's a documentary and it's holding your attention, people do not have that kind of attention span, right? I mean, the reality is you got 30 seconds and that's if you're lucky. So go when you're going to create content. And this is just a tip for whoever you use. Some people create content on their own. I'm not against that. If you know how to do it, own your brand, do it. But think very specifically to be laser beam focused. When you do a video, it's really important you have one message, you get to the message, and you leave it. Also about content, it can't be an ad. No one's going to sit through an ad, but content means you give your listeners or your viewers something that they can use. Give them some insights into what you do, how you do it, how you can help them. You want content to be something that they get something out of it and you get a chance to connect with people. So it's so much fun because you sit down with clients and you talk about what do you do? Who are you? What message do you want to get out there?
Message is the key word I hear there. So it's real easy to whip out your iPhone and start the video, right? But it's really the message that's where you help folks really and help companies is creating the right message.
That's right. And really crystallizing what they're trying to say. Because the problem is if you put too much content that's not focused out there, you will lose trust. If people start to click on your videos and they are, they're wandering and they're long and they're if there's poor lighting or poor technology involved in that, you can really turn viewers off. I mean, everyone can make a video. There's TikTok, there's YouTube. But it's really important to think ahead of time before you do these videos. And I really believe less is more. Again, when you're talking about social media platforms, we all know, we've all been to the seminars that Facebook, it's all about consistency. Mm-hmm. So if you have a message, some of my clients, they want to get, let's say they have a blog, but they'd like to do a little video snippet to go with each blog. Okay, well, what are the blogs? What is the key, most important thing you want to get out? Well, let's put that in a video. If they want more, they read the blog. So it's almost like a teaser. You don't have to sell. We used to call it in news, sell, don't tell. It's not really selling, but give them a teaser. Give them the most important nugget of what your blog is about, and then say, to learn more, read my blog. So you give people an idea of what it's about, and you're giving them something they can take away.
Duffie, talk about the value of having someone like you to help craft that message versus trying to do it on your own.
Well, first of all, a lot of people who own their own businesses will tell you, they can go to all the seminars, they learn how to do it. They just don't have time to do it. And it's not their forte. That's not their love. I love storytelling. I love interviewing clients, learning about them. That's basically what I did, like you said, every day on the job. I am fascinated by people and fascinated by what they do. So using me really helps me crystallize the message. I ask you a number of questions and I learn through us getting to know each other what is the best message. So I will ask you questions of what separates you from others in your business? What drives you? What is your best client story? What is something that just leaves you tickled at the end of the day because you've helped a client? Those are things that based on how the questions I ask and we have a conversation, I pull out those things that are just going to sing when we do videos of them. So basically you're paying me and to craft your message, but I'm also taking the time. And again, I was on TV for 27 years. I know what people will listen to, and I know what will keep people to keep listening.
And that's really a key point. Sometimes as the old cliche goes, and it's cliche because it's true, that, you're too close you can't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
Because you're one of the trees, right? I mean, you're right in the middle of it. And it's someone like you that's as a trained storyteller can look at the forest and see things that maybe the business owner cannot see.
Yes. And here's the beauty of it. We sit down and let's say I come away with 5 things that I just think would be great video messaging. Well, we've just created 5 small videos that we will create. Then you own them. You can put them out on Facebook, the other social media platforms. You can put them on your website. You can send them out in an email. You can use those in a presentation. Even if you're doing video conferencing, you could start by playing your video, by getting everyone to start listening, see what you do, and then take the conversation from there. It's such a useful tool. And once you create it, it's yours to put wherever you want.
Folks, we're here with Duffie Dixon, and she's got her own media and media consulting firm. Duffie, let's talk a little bit about video conferencing. Suddenly, we're having to worry about how we look on Zoom. And you're looking great, by the way. So you're obviously the authority. But tell us about, I guess, why is that so important? I mean, it seems obvious, but maybe it's not.
Well, I think that we all woke up during COVID and realized, the technology we've all heard about, we're actually going to try using that. And those first couple of weeks, remember, we were all showing up with rumpled hair. We were in our pajama tops, eating our cereal, trying to communicate with the rest of the world and find out, oh no, what do we do now? Well, it's come a long way. And whether you like this technology or not, I think it's here to stay in some fashion or format. I think the technology will get better. Here's the issue. Whether you like this medium or not, you have to get comfortable with it, because now people are holding networking events on it. People are hiring people over Zoom and GoToMeeting and these other apps. Bosses have now figured out the technology, CEOs, managers. So you no longer can show up in that rumpled t-shirt with no makeup on, and you can't give the excuse of, well, I'm at home, so it just doesn't matter. So there are a lot of studies coming out now that are saying this is your chance to present yourself just as you would in a board meeting. Okay. So a couple quick tips. Don't turn off your camera. You have to have your camera on. If you have your camera off, and your name shows up during a big meeting, it's as bad as going into a meeting in the office with a bag over your head or going into the office and staring at your phone the entire time. It's rude, and it's considered rude. Again, I'm sorry if you didn't want to do your hair, but you gotta. So I tell people, dress and present yourself as you would if you were going into the office. Again, people are only going to see, right, your shoulders to your head. And I counsel people and one-on-one or small groups, and we all simply get our laptops, walk around the house, find our background, make sure we have good lighting. You want to make sure people can see your eyes and your face, that they can hear you well and you can hear them. Everyone has a different setup. Some people have kids running around, so we find a spot where the kids and the dogs won't be trailing behind you. But all these things, this was a pivot. This is something I never thought I'd be teaching people. And surprisingly, John, yes, we've been doing it for 3 or 4 months now, but I, honest to goodness, just saw one who took a Zoom call with a number of people in a professional setting, sitting in their bed.
Oh my.
And I thought, I don't think that's going to go over well with your managers. Yeah, I'm just going to, I could see the bedpost, the bed frame, I could see the sheets. Yeah, it happens.
Well, I may have a referral for you, because I interviewed a forehead the other day.
Yes, that's the other one, the forehead. Why can't I see your mouth, nose, or anything else? Yeah, and it's something that you don't think about. But the problem is everyone is upping their game, right? Because like it or not, this is how we're doing business. I do think there are some great opportunities. I like to look at the bright side of this. First of all, For everyone in Atlanta, look, you are no longer commuting to networking events. That is a huge bonus right now.
Right.
Number two, you are being exposed to so many more people and for free. Most networking events are free right now. So if you were hesitant to network before because paying for the luncheon, it adds up, everyone is offering it for free. Get in there and network. The other thing is people say, well, it's not personal. Well, you know what? Everyone's making a lot of strides. When you go into networking groups now, a lot of times they will throw you, we call it throwing you, but they will put you in a small group. So you are talking virtually, face to face with 4 people, and you're all seeing each other's eyes. Everyone is given normally 60 seconds to talk about who they are and what they do. I find it to be the great equalizer. When you go to a networking event, there are those people who can walk into the room and shake everybody's hand. John, I'm talking about you. But there are other people who are not comfortable. They are introverts.
Sure.
This is the great equalizer. Everyone gets 60 seconds. You have the attention of your peers for 30 seconds, 60 seconds. You get to know people. I've gotten a number of clients through virtual networking. So it's here. It's important to do it well. And I can tell you there are a number of bonuses to it. I hope we go back to meeting in person. I agree. I love people, but it's important to get good at this too. And it shouldn't be scary. It's very easy. I will make it not scary.
Say more about, I guess, getting clients through virtual networking. I mean, because if you don't mind me going down that bunny trail, because when you said that, I'm sure there are folks listening to this that think, how does she do that? Because, I mean,
I'm
how
still
do
figuring
you,
it out myself, because I didn't think that was going to be happening, but it is.
Right.
It's word of mouth, obviously. And you get invited to networking groups through people, but I sort of, because I'm not commuting, I'm not doing a whole bunch of video shoots in person. I'm still doing some at a safe distance, but I thought, well, you know what, since I have those hours, why don't I start networking? So I go to one networking group and meet a few people, and they'd say, oh, I'd love to go to your networking group. A lot of these groups too are looking for people to present content. So I have been talking about video conferencing. I get on a group and I say, hey, let's all figure this out. I've had people contact me afterward for that. The other thing is when you're in these small groups, again, because if there's a networking group I go to and it lasts about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, they put you into 3 different small groups. So I talk to 5 people 3 times, do the math, 15 people, and it's a real connection. We all talk about what we do. I talk about what I do, and I'm telling you, people are connecting. And I think we're all really thinking outside the box. So I will talk to a landscaper, and then we will say, let's follow up, and I will follow up. And it's not a cold call because we've already met each other. And I'll say, I looked at your website. As we discussed, I love landscaping. I looked at your website. What would be great? Would you be open to video? The conversation starts. The same thing for me. There are some things that I don't do, that I think other people do better. And so I will say, oh my goodness, I had a friend who was asking about that. So I've developed this whole list of go-to people based on getting to know them, looking at their websites, reaching out to people they know. So I think it's a real opportunity, and it's a lot more than passing out your business card. People are connecting, and when you're doing a chat, there's a way to save those chats. So if you're trying to be, when everyone's putting in their information, there's a way. So if we put up chat.
Yep.
If you put up the chat thing, if you go down to the bottom, you should have a little, well, we're not doing a chat, so it may not show up, but there's a way to right click and save that chat. I just found that out. So then you have all these people you can reach out to. People are being really good about not abusing it too. You cannot just put someone on your mailing list after you met them for 5 minutes. Please don't do that.
Right.
That will turn everybody off.
For sure.
But I've had some great success at meeting people.
Yeah, and be careful what you put in that chat, because whoever's hosting that video conference can download that chat as well after it's all over. So
right, you're right. Yeah, you keep it professional, even in the private chats.
Yeah.
The same thing as I think you are a radio personality. Just consider the microphone is always hot. Just consider if the camera's on, consider it always on along with your audio.
Oh dear. Could I tell you stories about that? So,
We all can.
Yeah, for sure. So you're a public speaker.
Yes.
Talk about what you're doing there and how that's happening in the pandemic environment. Obviously, it's happening over video conference in a lot of cases, but talk about how that's working for you and what the kind of work you do there.
Well, some of the video conferencing that's most popular right now, obviously the video conferencing talk I give, and that is really an in-person thing where, again, I talk about lighting and where to place your camera and what to wear and what looks good and sounds good and examples. The other one I'm doing a lot of is crisis communication training. This is something I've always done. I recommend that everyone, whether you have one employee or 500,000 employees, have a crisis communication plan. Some companies do. Some companies have entire PR departments that do this, but a lot don't. And they think to themselves, well, I'm never going to be in a crisis. Well, here we all are. The thing about COVID-19 is no one predicted this crisis. This is something few people prepared for. Most people have inclement weather plans. They have tornado plans. They have flu. You know, if the flu comes around, maybe leave people home, that sort of thing. They also have what if something goes wrong if you have a plant, right? What if something goes wrong in the business? God forbid there's a bad accident or something. Usually, you know, they should have a plan for that. But what I'm learning in COVID is we're learning so much. So I speak to a company. We talk about crisis communication, and there are steps you should take and have in place. And then I interview some of the people in that company, and we talk about what worked and what didn't. So when you're communicating in a crisis, communication is key. And we say that, but when a crisis hits, everyone goes into their own panic bubble, right?
Sure.
So it's important to have a plan. And this could be as simple as who's going to gather the facts of what we know and what we don't know? Who's going to disseminate that information? If it's to media, if it's to TV stations and radio stations, who's going to be the face and the voice of that? So you really need some key people who will do that. Obviously, social media is now a key way people get information out fast. So you need to think of how you communicate with your employees, how you communicate with your customers, how you communicate with your stakeholders or shareholders. And these things can all be happening at the same time, but what order do you do them in? How do you do it? How often should you communicate? It's important. One of my big keys is when you're communicating with your employees during a crisis, it's important that you listen to what they're saying back to you. Communication is half speaking and getting the message out. And I would say equally important, listening to what's coming back. You know, people had to send entire realms of their company home as quickly as they could. But once they're home, it was so important, or it is so important, stay in touch with them, ask them how they're doing, check in with them, provide what they need. IT companies, or actually companies that have IT personnel. You have never heard, John, people so happy and praising their IT teams. Those were the people who said, oh, your laptop has a camera. Unplug it from your desk. Take these cords. Here, we're going to give you a remote Wi-Fi. Go home. I mean, that was, you know, so everyone learned in this what they had or what they needed. And I think this is going to change the way people prepare for things. And I think it's so important. I tell everyone, let's make you a crisis communication plan and let's hope you never need it.
Yeah, that's really important particularly for most of the listeners of this show who are mostly small to medium-sized businesses, because when, like we like to say at Big Business Radio X, when big media calls you, it's either a scandal or your building's on fire or something, right? So,
right. Sadly, the media rarely calls because they want to do a great piece. Man, that does happen.
Yeah.
But it's important for you. So when you said, why hire me? Well, John, I was the person who was knocking on your door with a cameraman and a microphone in my hand. And
right.
I was asking you, we've heard something's going on. What's going on? And there is nothing more, it's just scary. Let's just say it. Let's say it for what it is. If someone's knocking on your door, you're trying to deal with something going on, and now the media is showing up. People need to know that no one's going to call you and say, hi, I hear something's going on at your building. Can we come on over? No. I would get a call from my station say, get right over to that warehouse. There's been an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I go straight there and I start, knock on the door, obviously, to be polite, but I'm going to ask people running out of the building, what's going on? How is this happening? You as a business need to know what your rights are. You need to know how to gather the media and help them, because you want to get the right message out, right? You want to control what is said. So you need to be front on the scene, or someone in your organization, and you need to be able to answer right off the bat what you can. It is no longer okay to say no comment. This is one of my key things when I'm talking to groups. Do not ever say no comment. Do you know why, John?
Why? Because you caught me speechless. No comment.
Yep. Well, this is the problem. Those two words are so detrimental. Okay?
Right.
It means whether you like it or not, when you hear no comment, here's what I think. Guilty.
Right.
Hiding something.
Mm-hmm.
Out of touch and unaware of what is happening in their organization, and defensive. So what can you say? So when I train people, there are a number of phrases you can use. You can say, we are aware of the situation and we are looking into it. We only have we only have a few facts right now, but we're still gathering information. We will get back to you. If it is something legal, especially if you're talking about someone hurt, or have to worry about HIPAA laws and privacy of your employees, you say, unfortunately, because of HIPAA laws, or unfortunately, because of legal issues, I can't say much more right now, but I can say we're working on the situation. All of those things tell me you're aware of what's going on. You're working to find information. You care about your employees. You're on top of the situation. Now, you have to do a little more than that. So if you can give any information, try to do that. Be transparent. Because remember, if something goes wrong in your business, you're not just talking to customers. Customers have questions. Your employees have questions. Your employees' families have questions. Your neighbors have questions. People who used to work there have questions. So you want to make sure you are managing your message and not the other way around.
And you bring up something really important there, because I think business owners default to thinking about customers and the top line, but it's really important to message to employees, because they're the ones that make it happen, right?
Right. And what we've learned during COVID is the companies that are doing this well, the first concern was their employees. Because here they are on the front line. Their employees are what makes their business run. Okay. So when I talk to managers in all walks of life, when I'm doing this crisis communication training, they said the first thing we thought of is our employees. We have to get our employees safe. We have to keep them safe. They have to get home to their families. Remember, everyone was sent home. So now you have employees who are juggling 2 or 3 adults at home, right? Especially if people were living with or had parents living with them. So you have multiple adults at home, all trying to work from home. You have children who are now at home. You're providing meals and trying to have some form of education. You are trying to still take all of your business calls. So people who thought about their employees first really excelled during this time, because your employees, if you have them engaged and informed and you have them set, they will in turn help make your business successful, right? If they buy in to what you're doing, they are your best cheerleaders. The last thing you need during a pandemic is your employees unsure of whether they're going to get paid, if they have a job when they come back, how are they going to do their jobs? If they're out of the office, are they using up their sick time or their vacation time? People who address those things first, there was a huge sense that they were in it all together. And everyone I talked to said their employees stepped up and went above and beyond to keep working, to find out new ways to pivot and help the organization. And it was this amazing sort of, we're all in this together. So I would say, most importantly, you need to make sure, you're right, you're communicating with the public, but make sure you're communicating to your employees and your staff and your other managers. Transparency is a big word, right?
Yeah.
Everyone needs to know what the message is. Everyone needs to be on the same page. And if when you're in doubt, communicate more. I've never heard anyone say, I feel like my company communicates too much with me. I feel like I know exactly what's going on in the upper office.
Sure. Well, and what those companies that excelled at that really turned a crisis into an opportunity, right? I mean, and they really have come out of this. Not that we're out of it, but they're emerging over these last few months with a much more cohesive situation with their employees, even though sometimes their employees are still scattered, right?
Right. And I think it's forced everyone to think very differently and sort of prioritize what is important. And I can't help but think that's going to be a good thing down the road. You know, people have lost their jobs. Let's be honest.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think everyone is finding out who is essential. I think people are learning which of their employees really can step up to the challenge. We're having entire conversations now about who is essential, who's not, but who could work from home, who could be a little more flexible. Actually, a lot of people are finding that their employees, they're listening to their employees. Their employees are saying, I'm getting more done at home because I can start work at 6:30 in the morning instead of commuting for an hour and a half. I don't take a lunch break because I just eat at my desk because, I'm not a big lunch eater. I don't waste a bunch of time at the water cooler. And if I want to end at 4:30 so that I can go, on a walk with my kids, my work's all done. So the cool thing is there is technology now, and it's been there, but nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody could wrap their heads around this. But you can work remotely. And as managers, you can actually keep tabs on your workers. You can see that they're being, if they're being functional, if their numbers are on, the right track and all of this. I think it's, when you're talking about employee satisfaction, and we're talking about, people who really want to work, and when you're providing this for people who maybe think, I would love to work from home, these are great conversations that we're having. Not everyone wants that, and not everyone needs to do it. But how great is it if we start thinking about it's not one size fits all?
For sure. Wow. Great.
That's a little off topic, but COVID has just been fascinating to all of us. I mean, we're all learning new things every day.
Yeah, and it's really kind of important to get off topic right now, right?
Yeah.
because we've been dragged off topic whether we wanted to be or not. So, Duffie, this has been great, and I know folks would really benefit from a conversation with you. But before we get to your contact information, which is obviously important, give just a quick overview of the kind of clients that you work with, clients that are good fits for you.
Well, I do a lot of business with small to medium-sized business owners, I should say, because they're the people who can't afford a, $40,000 media PR campaign, but they can do some content videos. I will make it affordable. I think it's important that everyone do what they can to get their message out. So small to medium business owners, big companies are great too, but usually many of them have their own departments for this sort of thing. I also do well with website designers, people who are doing people's websites and realize, they could use some video content. They could use some video testimonials. They could use some video on their social media sites. So it's a great conversation to have. The other thing I can do is just sit down with you and look at what you are doing and talk about how maybe we could, make it a little better, or we could focus it a little more. So I really like to keep myself open to all people because I, again, think everyone should be utilizing video in some capacity.
Starts with a conversation. So let's get folks your contact information. How can they best connect with you to start that conversation?
Well, my name is Duffie Dixon, so it's easy to Google. There aren't a lot of me, but there it is. You need to remember it's Duffie. My mother says that's how you spell a girl's name, not a Y. So Duffie Dixon, DUFFIE @gmail.com. I also have a website, DuffieDixon.com. I'm also on YouTube. I have my own channel, so you can go see some of the videos I've created for clients. Go to YouTube and then simply search Duffie Dixon, again, Duffie Dixon. And I would love to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yes, let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Duffie Dixon with Duffie Dixon Media. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, John.
It's been a pleasure. Folks, if you've got some headaches that involve administrative tasks or bookkeeping. Maybe you've got a workshop that needs to be planned and executed that's now virtual. Well, I've got some folks that have been virtual for 18 years. They're the folks at Office Angels, led by Essie Escobedo, and she's the chief executive angel there. And she has a whole team of folks that she picks the right person for your problem, and they fly in, get the job done, and fly out. They've been doing this virtually for 18 years, so they know what it's all about, what the current environment that confronts them, and how to deal with that. So give her a call, 770-442-9246, and have a conversation. You can also go to officeangels.us and check them out. But I work with them, and they've done awesome work for me on various projects I've had, so I highly endorse Essie and her team. Folks, just another quick reminder that we are on all the major podcast apps, so check us out. NorthFultonBusinessRadio.com is the search term, and we would love it if you would go on your favorite app, find us, review us, give us a great review, because it's not about me, it's about the great guests like Duffie we've had over these last 4 years, and giving others the chance to find the show so they can benefit from the great work and wisdom and insight that our guests offer. So if you could do that, we would appreciate that. And, of course, connect with us on all the social media channels. We're not on as many as Duffie, of course, but we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, North Fulton BRX. So for my guest, Duffie Dixon, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.